Another question which is very applicable to you guys is, say I'm a startup and I'm pitching to you guys to raise money. You've done this a long time. In your experience, what have been the traits? I will ask each one of you individually. Traits in companies that have worked out, and what have been the common traits in companies that haven't worked out? Give me two things that you have found in common between companies and founders that you've invested in that has worked out.
Yeah, it's usually the 180 of what works doesn't work. So one of them is my bias, as I said, for people who truly relate to the problem that they're solving. So which is aligned with what both of you had chased as well in your lives and how you've built. I think the reason I believe that is very important is because the journey, in my view, supernormal journeys, the ones that, those 5 companies that deliver the magic, those are 10+ year journeys. And full ridden with potholes and shocks and emotional setbacks. The only thing that keeps you going is the mission. So if you've started with the purpose of saying there's some quick bucks to be made here, I don't see it work.
Okay, got it. So one thing you said is founders with long-term vision.
Mission more than mission.
Okay, mission with something they relate with.
Yes.
A problem in their own personal lives.
They want to solve for a long period of time.
Yeah.
The second one is, I think, incredible evolution as, and by the way, we used to think teams are important. Of course, they're important. But I think I'm back to over-indexing on one alpha female, alpha male equivalent, because I don't think you can distribute that vision and mission.
Why one alpha male, one alpha female?
No,
why not just one alpha male?
No, that's what I meant. Either. I'm being gender neutral. But I'm saying
one alpha male or one alpha male.
So I'm saying it's important for there to be one CEO, Uber, founder CEO. And yes, theoretically private equity or late stage growth can replace them saying these guys are useless. I'm trying to judge at seed, which is my bread and butter, whether they're capable of learning, inquisitive, and self-improving to become CEOs at every stage.
Are those the top 3 traits you watch for? Inquisitive, curious, and willing to learn?
Yeah.
Change, in another word?
Yeah. Otherwise, no chance they can scale.
You want to go next?
No, I mean, see, all the investments that I've done is in areas that I deeply care about.
No, but how right, in the investments you've done, what have you learned about the ones that have worked?
So the only ones I think I've associated with are people who I think deeply care about the problem as much as I do. I think in today's world, almost in everything that we're doing, we need a technologist, right? I mean, like people like you and me, we are the least skilled people around. Right place, right time, many times in life. But yeah, so I think, like Karthik said, I think you can be a CEO material, but you need a CTO in today's world in whatever you're building. So it's also important, when you meet, you want to see who's the guy who's going to help him. If the person who's talking to you is a CEO, you need to see the quality of the CTO as well. You can't.
Big fan of co-founder.
Right.
And to Karthik's point, I mean, you need to be multiple. To make a company work, you need that right balance in terms of personalities. You need these complementary skills.
Okay, 2. I want something interesting from Rajan. Toxic childhoods create great entrepreneurs. Something like that. Like, not the hardworking, obsessive, typical stuff.
No, I mean, look, resilience, right? Look, on average, a successful startup will have several near-death moments, right? You run out of money, you get sued by a biggest competitor, your co-founder leaves. So I think being able to stick with it is really important. What has this founder, he or she, or the founding team members, are there, signs of, resilience and just sticking with it and just going at it, right?
And how do you discern that when you meet them?
It depends on their experience, right? Like we asked the question, like, okay, like actually they seed invested in this company called Ethereal Machines. These guys have been at it, what, 7 years?
7, 5 under our watch.
7 years, right?
Yeah.
So they've been at it for 7 years. I mean, like, it's hard. It's really hard. There are only 2 other companies in the world that do it. And everybody said they couldn't do it. And they just stared at it. They stared at it. They stared at it. And finally they went, whoa, that's good. Because, now that shows resilience, right? So it could be in your own company. It could be something that you did before.
You think willingness to change their belief systems constantly? Is that agility?
No, I think you should write your values in ink and your strategy you should change.
But then if you do that, you can't be agile, right?
No, agile is like basically, the values. I'm talking about values. Your strategy should change. Values is like what you're about, right? Like you believe in X and Y and so on.
For example, what do you believe in?
No, for like values of, let's take
I'm a company. Should I even have values?
Of course you should.
What are those values?
Focus on I take a Google value that I love. Focus on the user and all else will follow.
Do you think they really do that?
Yeah.
They focus on the user more than themselves?
Yeah. Focus on the user more than they focus on revenue, even today.
Really?
Absolutely. So going back, I think the first is resilience, second is agility, meaning, you're able to change. So I think if you're going to be successful, one, you're going to have to go through many near-death moments. And second, you have to be able to change your strategy, change, etc.
Change yourself?
You have to evolve. Yeah, actually, that would be the third thing, right?
When I said change your values and belief systems, I asked whether the founder himself has to change what he thinks, believes, and lives
Many times.
constantly.
Constantly.
About the market. I mean, if you separate out values or co-inherent values, right? Like integrity is a value. You know what I mean? Like, hopefully you're not changing that. Being customer obsessed is a value. Hopefully you're not changing that. Unless you're willing to go at it 10 to 15 years, making very little money, going through really excruciating times, working 7 days a week, 20 hours a day, don't do it.
Do we really believe all that?
Yeah, because I've seen it.
Do we really believe that success is because of hard work?
I think it's obsession, absolutely.
No, I mean, even
I don't
with
have a
us,
single...
like just to set it right. So I started trading the market in '97. Zerodha started in 2010. All our success came in 2016. So it took us 20 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, so there is, like today, of course, we can have 5 days a week and all of that, but so it
I lived in my office for 6 years.
Yeah.
Sorry? No, that's my point, right? That's
Like
my
lived
point.
there.
Exactly.
My
There you
bedroom
go.
was in the
You
cabin.
too.
Yeah.
No,
I thought you were questioning. I'm like, okay, you can five days a week, 9 to 5 and feel so wrong.
No, but I'll tell you where the dichotomy arrives in this conversation. I feel hard work in the mainstream is a way of appeasing our ego, both as a consolation and as a reward. Consolation when things don't work out, I can tell myself, but I worked hard. When I win, appeasing my ego on the other end, because everyone can argue, like probably the watchman of my apartment works 3 times as hard as me. So can you really correlate hard work to success?
Absolutely.
Necessary, but not sufficient. I go back to that argument. It's not a guarantee.
But like that, everything is necessary.
I'll tell you why.
No comparison.
I agree with you there. Hard work is a precondition.
It is.
But it is not the main condition.
You might have gotten lucky by getting enough capital to be able to buy some of that on the cheap in a hot market, etc. But actually, the more capital you get, if you're a responsible entrepreneur, your work just increased again, right? So it's never ending in my view, because your organization does not hit steady state, neither does your customer base, neither does your product, anytime in the near future.
Yeah, but Karthik, see, the thing here is, I'm looking for nuance. If people watching this are told you need to be hardworking, you need to do this, what are they learning from us?
No, this is not hardworking. Hardworking is not 7 days a week, 18 hours, 15 hours a day.
You need to be
That is not
obsessively hardworking.
This is insanely hardworking.
No, so I think there's
What did you say? You need to relate to the problem that you're solving.
I
want
memorize
something
this.
different, which is not obvious to the entrepreneurs watching this, because you guys have the experience of picking so many. I don't want the generic, right?
I know, but the thing is, as you guys know more than anybody else.
like a
Actually,
founder.
this is not rocket science.
This guy, just as an example, Ethereal, he asked me last week when I'm in Bangalore, right? And he's hacked a meeting with me to the airport tomorrow to get that extra hour. So you want evidence? That's kind of evidence.
Is networking skill in today's world to be able to have gotten that meeting with you either through a referral or something?
No, this is my founder for 5 years.
No, but is that a very important thing?
Absolutely.
Those are
I've
the kind of
held
things I
Narayan
want.
Murthy's car door to ask him for money.
Yeah, give me that then. Say
No,
that.
that's what I'm saying.
Huh.
No, but you have to push. And that's not me, by the way.
Huh.
I had to play out the scene in my head on how I would interrupt him on his walk from the podium to his car 10 times. And then the last chance was the door was shutting, so I had to hold the door. That's not me.
Okay, you
I hate
give
it,
me one now.
right?
You give me
So
one now.
I'm just saying.
Storyteller.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, can you really tell the story in a way that's interesting? Very few founders can.
If somebody is looking to build product ahead of insight and a deeper appreciation for what really the problem is, I think I've seen that as a recipe for disaster in most companies. What they will have is a 100-member tech team,
Yeah.
right?
Average product.
Very average product because they have not gotten enough insights. So I think this thing that you need good tech is like hardworking is a prerequisite, but how you apply it, so hard work, you can direct your hard work. So that's what I wanted to kind of, even in the hard work discussion, say, you can direct it with the right hustle in the right way to achieve a right end goal, right?
Okay.
Or it can be just misdirected, feel good hard work.
Okay.
Actually,
That's
I have
useless.
one.
Yeah.
So I think outside all of this, it's just people skills, just to be able to keep your team together.
I think what he's trying to say is psychologically, even as an alpha male, you need to be more accepting of your feminine side. From a very psychological standpoint.
It's more than that. I think, yeah.
No, I
that's
think-
what I said. You got to become a coach,
Yeah.
and there are no boundaries there.
Yeah, because that societal construct really has negated the usefulness of a feminine side in a man so much that most males are not able to do that. So that's a good point. If I could add one, I would say screwed up childhoods, staying away from privileged upbringing is something to look for. Like,
Staying away, I don't know, but I think I'm the first to admit, like,
You could look for it, by the way, but as a founder, the questions you can, if you did have a screwed up.
You can't reverse your life. You can't go
change
back
that,
in
right?
time.
You could have a privileged background, but if you're not willing to work 7 days a week.
I'm asking you, what do you look for?
No. I mean,
You're saying for somebody pitching to you to inculcate.
how will you ask him to go back in
I
time?
think the beauty is if you
I love the idea of
if
a
you look
man.
at all of our
Everybody has a screwed up childhood if they want to look at it that way. They have to build on that emotion.
no true.
Have you ever met someone who has told you and truly believed that they love their childhood? No.
No, you're
Lots
right.
of
They're
people
extracting something
Yeah.
for a right to win.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
they're saying, this is my proof. Prove to the world that I
Yeah.
can win.
Yeah.
And they're extracting some part of course, they're
Yeah.
extracting
Yeah.
most
But
of
I
it.
think I'd also say that, trying to tell a story that's not real very quickly, because this is what we do for a living. We meet thousands of founders.
Another thing I was hoping somebody would say, authenticity.
Say it like it is.
Yeah.
You
Authenticity
have no
to the
automation in the
extent
business, say it like it is. I got
that you're
500
not-
people packing stuff. Okay, great. At least you've
I
told
think
me that.
authenticity to the extent of self-recognition where you're not pretending to be a machine, you're not pretending to be a saint, you're not pretending to be anything, but you're cognizant to the fact that you're greedy, you're jealous, you're insecure, like every one of us sitting here is. So the time spent pretending to be a person that does not have those traits is futile. And if somebody recognizes that, I think is extremely appealing and endearing.
So this whole idea of founder market fit,
Yeah.
right? As much as important as product market fit is, in 10 years, will you love doing it? You're passionate about the space, but the space requires execution. The space requires you to solve a problem, and that typically requires different skills and characteristics that may not be natural to you. And are you willing to change? And are you willing to become that different person? I was talking about these B2B manufacturing startups that I'm seeing these founders, struggling because they all thought this is entrepreneurship and startups meant tech, right? And now they're figuring out these are really heavy lifting problems.
Ability to
but thing is,
stay true to the mission.
Yeah. So my question was really, one, you're going through tough times, right? And then one, you're going through good times. Tough times, you kind of know, like people, if a business breaks, it's a tough time it broke. But are there many times where companies are going through good times and they break because co-founders don't get along well?
Happens. They start out with the same kind of passion, focus, and the business takes a different shape. It's doing well, but it's become a different business. And one of them relates to that different business, and the other one does not relate to it.
It's also sometimes, it could be that the CEO persona has evolved to something, and the number 2 or number 3 in hierarchy, for what it's worth, is not as motivated to continue doing the same thing, or has become less relevant.
Hi, I'm Nikhil Kamath. I'd love to know what you thought of the episode. Comment, like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.